It's your girl, Professor Cinephile, and listen, we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk about this film because I just anyway, we're going to talk about the new film Weapons. It is a horror film starring Josh Brolin and Amy Garner, and I got a lot of thoughts, and I shouldn't have any actually, but I do. So here we go. Spoiler alert: if you do not want to know anything about this film, please, please, please stop here. Come back when you've seen it and tell me, am I tripping? Okay. So, I saw the advertisement for Weapons a while back, and I was just like, oh, I put it on my list. So, if you don't know, I actually will go to the theater, watch the previews, or I used to. Now that the previews are 25 to 30 minutes long, I actually kind of take my time. But I would watch previews and put the movie that I want to see in a list. So, I had this on my radar for quite some time. And I thought the premise was really interesting. Town has an entire class of students that goes missing one day, and they have no idea where these kids are. And so I just gotta say that I love me a spooky kid movie. Like I do, like Children of the Corn, like all that kind of stuff. I love when the children, something's wrong with the children. I do. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go see this. So it came out, and I went to go see it, and um, I think it has a wonderful premise, right? Gets wonky a bit. It's a bit wonky. Okay. It is a horror film. I have to say that because there is a supernatural element to it. Some might think it's like a thriller or psychological thriller, but no, it actually has like horror elements. It does have a boogeyman type person in it. And it does have some supernatural components. So it is a horror film. It has quite a few jump scares. So if you're a person who doesn't like jump scares, you may not want to watch it by yourself, or you just be prepared to kind of cover your eyes a bit. So it's got some really good jump scares, actually. So the story basically is there's this teacher, Miss Gandy. She comes into her class, and all but one of the students is missing one day. There's no explanation. The only thing that the parents know is that at 2:17 in the morning, all of their kids left the house. And the way that they know that is obviously with technology. Their door alarms went off, their Ring cameras caught it. Like, there's a timestamp on it. So all the students end up leaving the house at the same time. And they show them, you can see them like running towards something, and they don't necessarily know what it is. And they can't really determine from the cameras because of the way that the homes are situated. Most of the kids just look like they're running into the dark. Nobody was able to kind of see where they went from there. Okay. That's one thing you have to suspend disbelief of because I when I thought about like the Ring camera situation and where they end up going is another house. You mean to tell me that no other house around them had the same technology that they referenced to be able to catch and see that all the kids were running that way? Like that didn't make sense to me. A couple of things in this film that don't actually make sense. But anyway, we suspend disbelief. They don't know where the kids went. And so they start to wonder of course, you're going to wonder, all the parents want to know what happened to our kids, where are our kids? And of course, they're going to blame Miss Gandy. They're like, you must know something. It only happened in your classroom. What's going on? But there is this one kid, Alex, he comes to class, so he was not a part of this. They ask him, he don't have no answers, he don't know nothing. Boom, okay. So that's the premise. Um, but the film kind of goes into a bunch of other things. And so if you're not, I mean, I said Amy Garner. Did I say Amy Garner? I'm sorry. I meant Julia Garner, y'all. I've had some wine. So Julia Garner, you'll recognize her as Ruth from Ozark. Okay, so she's in it. Um, I think she was better in Ozark, and I think that she still had a little bit of Ruth in there in this particular role, but I think she was decent in this role. Josh Brolin is Josh Brolin. He's still a Goonie. I don't know what else to say. Uh, um, and so so the way the story is told, it's told from the perspective of different people. I'm actually not a big fan of that style of filmmaking and storytelling. Like Give me a linear story, please. I can take a few flashbacks or whatever, but like, don't have me repeating the same shit from a different person's perspective. Just get to the point. And I think that that's one of the things that actually prolongs the film. It's really interesting because the longest story we get is Miss Gandy's. Um, because she's kind of like a central figure. And I think with each person, each subsequent person who gets to tell their side, it gets shorter and shorter and shorter. So that was okay. At least they made up for that. So the kids are gone. It's a month later. So there's a month without finding these young people. Again, you have to suspend disbelief. They said that they had the canine unit. Canine unit didn't find them. How? How? Spoiler alert again, they never left the neighborhood. So you're telling me that you had the canines out and they just lost all the kids' scent, even though all the kids end up being in the same location? Again, that does not make sense to me. So that kind of pissed me off. And the fact that it's a month later, I know that when kids go missing, after a while they do call off the searches. They're like, we don't know what to do. But 17 kids go missing. That's not something you kind of give up after a month. But anyway, they had closed the school for a month and then they had to reopen it because, you know, capitalism, get them kids back to school. Um, and so Gandhi is like, she wants to come back to teaching, but her principal is like, nah, you need some time. But also the neighbors are really still mad at her and they're still kind of blaming her for it. She has an issue with alcohol. It seems like maybe she was in recovery or what have you, or maybe not, but she's got an issue with alcohol. So she starts drinking heavily. You know, she seems like she really cares about the students, right? So I would probably be, kind of in my cups too. Like all my students are gone, and then everybody thinks it's me. Like her car gets vandalized, she's harassed, and all these things. But she's also messy. And I think that I appreciated that her character was a bit messy. Her character was messy in a way that made her like, we don't necessarily want to believe what you're saying, blah, blah. So anyway, um, it weaves these people's different stories together, their perspectives. Josh Brolin plays one of the fathers of one of the kids, and he cannot let this go. And he's pretty smart. He's like an architect or some kind of, contractor, built homes. He can't let this go. This is his son. And he's kind of losing his shit. So anyway, they end up teaming up to try to figure out what's going on. I'm gonna tell y'all what happens, okay? Because it's just stupid. So what ends up happening is that Alex's parents, they have an aunt that one of their aunts comes to stay with them, and she happens to actually be like a witch, right? And she has this ability to work spells on people and to hypnotize them, okay? So she starts by hypnotizing his parents, thinking that she could extract their life force from them or something to keep herself younger. Yeah, I know. It totally went off the rails. Did not have to go there, right? We have a fountain of youth kind of succubus. Like, what the come on. All right. So anyway, that doesn't work. She's not getting any better. So she hatches this plan that she needs to get the kids. She needs the life source of the kids. And she basically tells Alex, if you tell anybody, I'm going to make your parents harm themselves. And so she does that by having them stab themselves in the face with a fork. That was pretty awesome, actually. It's pretty gross, but it was awesome. And so he's like, okay, okay, okay. I'll do whatever you want. Just leave my parents alone, right? So she loops Alex in, mind you, this is like a third grade class. She loops Alex in, tells him he's got to go and get something from each of the students because that's how she's able to hypnotize people. She takes something from them and can hypnotize them and kind of work a little root on them or whatever. So he does it, and basically we find out that she was able to do mass hypnosis on all of these kids at the exact same time, with Alex's help because he was able to gather something from each of them. And that's what happened to the kids. And so for the last month or so, the kids have actually been in the basement of their house, kind of in this comatose state. And poor Alex has been tasked with feeding his parents and all these kids soup every single day. And these people are emaciated, they are catatonic, they're under hypnosis, and she's basically somehow, and they don't explain this either. They don't explain how she is able to extract, unless they did when I went to the bathroom. I don't know. But it's not clear how she's able to suck their life force out of them to try to keep her young. Anyway, there's a bunch of messy characters in there. Nobody in here is particularly righteous. There are some decent kills. It's pretty gross sometimes, but a lot of it's zombie like. If you like zombie horror films, you'll like this one. If you like occultish kind of things, there's a little bit of the occult thing going in. If you like messy characters, flawed protagonists, substance abuse issues, things like that, strained family relationships, and stuff like that, you might like it. But I just feel like they could have went in a totally different direction, and I felt like it was a bit cheap. Now, Amy Madigan is in it. She plays the witch. She's actually pretty decent in this, but she's an award-winning actress. She's been at this for a long time. So I thought she was cool. She was actually very creepy though. I was like, ugh. But I was thinking about being her for Halloween. So it's a good character. I might actually decide to be her for Halloween because it's pretty awesome. But I think there were solid performances from the actors. I think that, again, the premise was a bit wonky. I might have liked something where maybe it was like a child trafficking ring or something a little more realistic that would have taken it out of horror and made it more thriller. And I think in the attempt to make it a horror by creating this boogie woman kind of, boogeyman kind of character, they lost it a bit. And I just was like, yeah, I didn't walk out. You might like it. And why is it called Weapons? It's called Weapons because she has this ability to hypnotize people and turn them into weapons. So she does that a few times throughout the film, and you'll see that. I don't need to go through all of that. If you go see it, she kind of like weaponizes people and gets them to fight and kill other people for her and things like that through this hypnotic process. So I want to give it 3 hearts. It was okay. Wasn't horrible. I've seen far worse. But it wasn't great. It wasn't a black phone or anything. So I guess you can go see it if you want. But anyway, that's my review. Check me out, hit the like button, subscribe. I keep having people say, "Oh, I miss your film reviews." They're right here. Like, I'm right here. You got to subscribe to the channel. You'll get a notification. Hit that like button, share it. Let me know what you think if you saw the film. And or if you're going to go see the film, come back. Let me know what you think. Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I'm just not satisfied. I don't know. I just feel like a lot of this stuff just wasn't lining. Okay, so one more thing. Okay, one more thing that was not lining up for me. Josh Brolin's character, the dad, he went to one family and was basically asking to look at their ring camera to see like where their daughter went. And he was able to like kind of track her trajectory and compare it to with his son's. There were multiple people that had the ring thing. Why didn't he go to all of them? So he was just using these two trajectories and he like found an X and he's like, I think it's in here. Why didn't he get at least like 2 more to be able to try to narrow it? Whatever. Hit the like button, subscribe. I'll be back with more, y'all. I'm in the theaters all this summer and my kids going to college, so I'll be by myself and I'm gonna be in the movie theaters watching, it's me and the thing. So come back and thank you all for the support. I really appreciate you. I love doing this and I'll see you next time.